turn it over to you, but I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay.
I didn't say your name, so you
All
tell
right.
your background.
My apologies, I don't speak Portuguese, so I'll talk slow for those of you that may have trouble following. My name is Mathew. I'm a global account manager with our worldwide events group. My responsibilities from companies, their vendors, all the way from an NTT, a CSC, all the way down to some of the smaller, more niche companies like Logic here, which is primarily an agile test company out of Vietnam. And the space I work with is outsourcing and IT services. And that's how I became engaged with Fernando Cariello, who runs the Brazil IT representation at our Symposium IT Expo. So some of you I may have met in the past, possibly Symposium, or even outsourcing. But I've been with Gartner 2 years. I have a vast events background, and I've worked with many different industries. By far, Gartner is the one company I work for that really goes that extra mile to work with their clients, work with their vendors. By far, I've worked for some of the large companies. But the purpose for me being here is my commitment to Robert, my commitment to Brazil IT, my commitment to outsourcing Brazil is really to help prepare companies like yourselves as you journey out, whether it's to North America, or for that matter, even EMEA or Asia, really to get an understanding how to engage with Gartner so that you can leverage Gartner and maximize your experience with Gartner. And my colleagues are going to take you through that journey as well from a research perspective. I'm going to cover vendor briefings because a lot of how you start engaging with Gartner starts with the vendor briefing. And then I'm going to roll that into events and really show you how the vendor briefings can also align itself with our events portfolio, because you're meeting with a lot of the same analysts that you may present a vendor briefing to, or you'll have exposure to additional analysts. So I'll just step in with that. So the agenda for today is we have the introduction. I've just covered that. Give you a brief overview of Gartner. Many of you are familiar with Gartner, but I'm not going to assume everyone here is. I'm going to touch on vendor briefings, the way to engage with our analysts, the way to request vendor briefings, really the importance of a vendor briefing and doing it properly with the analysts. And then I'm going to go to Gartner events, give you an overview of that, the role the analysts play with the events, and that's going to roll right into Gartner delegates, understanding who Gartner delegates are. Because if you don't understand the delegates, you don't understand the end users, they won't engage with you as frequently or as open as they should. So this is pretty much Gartner's tagline. This is who we are. We deliver the technology-related insight necessary for our global clients to make right decisions every day. And you'll see that that's a common theme throughout this. Key decisions require independent research, objective advice, and strategic vision. That's why our end user clients come to us. We're objective, we're a third-party, vendor-neutral research organization. Brief overview, Gartner as a whole, there's 4 BUs split into Gartner. You have research, where you have events, you have consulting, you have executive programs. My colleague's going to touch more on research, but really the big thing here is the analysts, and then more importantly, 319,000 plus one-to-one client interactions globally. So the analysts are actively talking to our end user client base consistently throughout the year. Our events, we have 65 globally. We're launching in China next year. 50,000 delegates. 1,200 vendors like yourself participate in those events. Gartner Consulting, 500 consultants. They also are analysts. They participate in the events. They engage with the end user clients. And then the creme de la creme of Gartner, from an end user, from a client perspective, executive programs, EXP. We have the largest CIO network worldwide, hands down. And I know my colleague Marcel will probably touch on some of that as well, so I'll leave that with him. But the other key point is the CIO agenda. that rolls out, that really drives Gartner's research agenda for the year. And it usually comes out mid-January, but again, Marcelo will address that. This is just a small synopsis of, but with respect to Gartner, we like to think of having a complete tool set. I mean, our clients utilize 4 distinct components. Research, it's a circle, it's an endless circle. So you have the research, you have the analysts, you have they attend Gartner events, and then they access role-based multimedia content. Now, what I'm going to talk about later with respects to events is that's where Gartner comes alive. That's the only time you'll get the analysts, the vendors, and the end users on one roof. So it's really where the latest and greatest research is presented as well through our events. And so that's just a general overview of Gartner. I know Marcelo will touch on some of those points as well, but one of the main things that Robert wanted me really to talk about and address is really Gartner vendor briefings. And it's important because it gives you the opportunity as a vendor to engage with an analyst. Because the analysts are talking with our end user clients daily. They're talking to them in person events and one-on-ones. And this, I'll touch on these items here, what the vendor briefing is, give you what the selection process is, why they're important, the submission process, and the benefits of using a formal vendor briefing. Because some of you may have relationships with analysts, that's great, and we encourage that, but really, it is important to have a formal vendor briefing relationship as well. Best time to schedule a briefing, and then best practices. So, Janelle Hill, she's one of our analysts that works with our data center group and our DPM group. I'll read that, but this is really how most of the analysts think. I mean, you need to be top of mind with the analysts, because if they don't know you, they can't write about you. If they can't write about you, they can't advise their clients about you, whether it's by telephone or in person. So that's a direct quote from her. And when we talk about vendor briefings, that's really the start of the journey and the path towards engaging with the analysts and engaging with Gartner and utilizing Gartner really to the maximum, to the fullest. All right, what is a vendor briefing? It's basically a research tool for the industry analysts to engage with the vendors, present your products to them, services and business strategies to the analysts and cover that vendor specifically for the related technologies. So for example, if it's cloud, if it's data center oriented, if it's outsourcing, you'll engage with those analysts. Now the flow of information, predominantly, it's not an inquiry. The difference is an inquiry, you need to be a Gartner client. There's more give and take from the analyst to the end user client, more advice given. It's more of a strategic call as well between the end users and the analyst. That's your opportunity. The analyst will stop. If they have questions, they'll ask. They're genuinely going to interact with you. But just keep in mind that the onus is on you as the vendor. You need to present your best and strongest business case. They'll ask for clarification during the briefing session, but analyst feedback is not the focus of it. It's the opportunity for you to really deliver that message to the analyst. And one other thing too is the analysts, they schedule the briefings at their discretion. And that actually, they will not schedule it based on a contractual relationship or if you're already with Gartner. And that it's not pay for play. That's a term in the States that we use a lot. It's not pay for play. We do not have to be a Gartner client to submit or have a vendor briefing. And that goes back to our third-party vendor neutral. And in order for us to do our job correctly, we need to know the vendors who are out there. Not every vendor is a Gartner client. Not every vendor is in the Magic Quadrant is a Gartner client. But it's important to know this. because we do get that question consistent. I get it in events all the time. If we come to your event, do we get the magic water? Do we get a hype cycle or a market scope? That's not the case. So the vendor briefing selection. The analyst will decide what technology services are important to their research. Now, one thing I didn't put up here, and Marcelo may mention, or probably will, is that's based on the research agenda that's published. So if your vendor briefing aligns with the agenda for the year, or if you position it based on what that research agenda is, the likelihood of it being picked up will increase exponentially. Again, the analysts apply the same selection criteria to vendor clients and non-clients alike. And then we also have, you can request a formal briefing based on the topics with the areas that they cover. So that link, and Robert can share that with you, but you can search for the analysts by industry, you can search for them by technology, you can search for them by their coverage area. And then, again, the analysts, they schedule vendor briefings based on their need for research as well. The information that will complete it or will answer client inquiries. So if they have clients calling them and they don't have the answer, and they see a vendor briefing or they know a vendor, then they'll use that vendor briefing. Why vendor briefings are important, and this is really for companies that want to export or go global or even local. I mean, you really need to provide a concise and clear story to the analyst within 5 minutes. Just be direct and concise. Let them know who you are, what you do, why is it worth investigating, what services and products do you offer. More importantly, why did the customer buy from you? And what business problems does it solve? Because that speaks to the client's pain points. So if your clients are having similar pain points that some of the end user clients who are interacting with the analysts are, what they want to know how you're helping them. And then the next point, what differentiates you from the existing products in the marketplace? If you, and Marcelo just told me a little bit about a little vendor report that's coming out. I'll touch on that. But that's a great report that we have it in events where it's the emerging tech pavilion, where a lot of the cool vendors participate in that. They don't have to be the big companies. And Marcelo can touch on that further, but that's really where the latest and greatest is. So, and then again, you can go in and you can look at the analyst search by coverage by name. Now the submission process. This is important as well. You as vendors, Gartner gets over 12,000, I think it's now 13,000, maybe even more. So that's what you're competing against. So if you don't understand the selection process, if you don't understand the dynamics around the vendor briefing, how the information is disseminated throughout Gartner, you're competing against those other 12,000. So with respects to that, even if you only have a vendor briefing with one analyst, Gartner will actually, I'm skipping ahead, but again, vendors initiate requests, and we respectfully ask that it be done as a formal vendor briefing request in light of any personal relationships. And I'm not telling you not to talk to the analyst, but you'll see why shortly. All right, benefits of the formal vendor briefings. From the analyst perspective, you may have requested 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 analysts to be on that vendor briefing. You may only have one that picks it up. But the briefing is recorded and it goes into the database. You present your materials 3 days before the briefing if you want. And then that goes into a repository that the other analysts who share that space with them can go in and get that information from. You also have greater ability that the request is filled. Because the analyst calendars, if you ever see an analyst calendar, and I know I've seen it, I'm sure Marcelo's seen it, Claudia's it's like a 10-hour workday for them or a 12-hour workday. I mean, I have difficulty at times scheduling a briefing for some of my clients. But more importantly for the IT vendors, it gives you that broad and accurate exposure of your request to relevant analysts. Going back to, if you want 5 or 6 on that call and you only get 1, don't feel bad. It was picked up. Know that they're going to disseminate that information to the other appropriate analysts. And this is actually something that I just became aware of, even though I've been with Gartner. Historically, 70% are held in 2 time periods. And a lot of that has to do with when the research team is being written, when the events coincide, because the analysts are always going to be involved in writing research throughout the year, but knowing this will help you get your briefing picked up. And some other best practices, applying clear objectives for your vendor briefing. That's key. That's because sometimes it may be 30 minutes. You may only have 30 minutes. You may have 60. It depends on the analyst's calendar. Provide the materials 3 business days in advance. As I said, it goes into a repository as well. And if there is an NDA or if there's an embargo, we'll respect that. And also, it goes to the point the analysts are global. So, for example, if you were to have a vendor briefing with one of the analysts I work with, is Helen Huntley. She's working with analysts in EMEA like Ian Marriott. She's working with analysts like TJ Singh in Asia Pac. What you provide her will go in that repository, and she'll also probably share that information with them. And this goes, the next one goes to distinguishing a vendor briefing from a client inquiry. A client inquiry is reserved for Gartner clients. The vendor briefing is for non-clients and clients. Robert. Sorry. Again, another best practice. Select the right time for your company. If you've got a new product, you've got an acquisition, new strategy, or you've reorged, anything that's a key milestone for your company that you feel the analyst should know about, that's the right time to have the briefing. Understand the analyst profession. I mean, they use their briefings, actually, let me back up, understand why our end users go and use the analysts. Advice to end user organizations, they advise technology companies, they even advise investors and venture capitalists. We have Gartner Invest, which is a small group within Gartner. As important, have the right people to brief Gartner. You don't want a salesperson necessarily briefing Gartner. You want the senior leadership team generally will host that briefing. Be receptive, be engaging with the analysts. And then a suggested briefing. So, with respects to that, depending on how much time the briefing is, 30, 60 minutes, you could probably cover all of that. And the other benefit of the vendor briefing, the analysts may even suggest other analysts for you to request a briefing with, or they may know someone who's writing some research that's appropriate for your solution you're offering. I've done calls where the analyst will say, you need to talk to this person, this person, this person, and this person, because they're writing research. They've got a need for information around a certain subject matter for that research, so you need to engage with them. So are there any questions with regards to vendor briefings? I know it's a lot of information. Actually, there's even more. I try to cut it down and make it fairly basic, but we can share the links with you as well. You can always call myself, call Marcel, call Claudia, call anyone if there's any questions about that. Any questions about the vendor briefings? Or?
Are we getting any handouts or presentation?
I can distribute that, that's not a problem. Yeah, it's all public knowledge, so I can distribute that. And then, if you want to see Marcelo, I'll do myself after. And all of that can also be found at the link too, so. All right, on to Gartner events. Gartner events, we have a global portfolio, we're launching in China. So Gartner as a whole, see the global. But more importantly, those analysts that you're briefing play a big part of events. They're the rock stars. They're the reason we have meetings. Everything from developing the content, to driving panel sessions, whether it's an analyst user roundtable, whether it's a keynote, whether it's anything to do with content, they're writing it and they're submitting it. With respect to sponsors, they walk the event floor. Especially if you're a new sponsor, they're going to want to talk to you because they have all that information beforehand. And we have specific times that the analysts can come through. Now, some events may have 30 analysts at it. Other events may have, like symposium, may have 220 analysts. And then, as important, the analysts meet one-to-one with the end users face-to-face at the event. At a summit, that may mean 500 clients they meet with, 500 meetings they have, whether clients going through an RFP, they have an issue with the technology, they're looking to change vendors, or they're looking for a new technology solution. They're bringing those questions to the events. If you look at symposium, that number jumps to 6,000 meetings. So they'll sit there in a meeting, if it's a data center solution or something around cloud or maybe SaaS, they basically go, oh, well, you should consider companies A, B, C, D. Oh, by the way, companies A and D are out on the event floor. You need to go talk to someone. Go back to the vendor briefing. So if they already know, or you've gone through that vendor briefing process, the more likely they're going to be able to recommend or feel comfortable recommending to our end users that you should be interacting with. And this was taken from our outsourcing summit last year. So some of you may know these analysts. Some of you may have briefings with them. This is the outsourcing summit. There were 32 analysts there. 32 analysts that you can meet with. Because at an event, you have two audiences. You have the analyst audience, you have the delegate audience. And every one of these analysts covers outsourcing or covers ERP globally, or even some of them cover cloud. I mean, they're global. They're advising clients globally. 22 were based out of the U.S. The remaining 14 were based from around the world. And going forward, I'm going to be using real live information from the outsourcing summit from last year. But with respects to Gartner and why does Gartner have multiple events, really the events are aligned based, our technology aligned. With respects to that, that's how our end users want it, that's how our clients want it. They want the role-based events, which are the summits. They want symposium, which is for the senior leaders, it's for the CIOs. They've asked for it in this first year. So the summits, you'll find the influencers who are looking at specific technologies for outsourcing. And there's a security summit, there's a data center summit, there's a BI summit. So it's all role-based, specific to that technology. At symposium, you have all of those technologies. They're broken down to marketplaces. It's for the senior leadership level across multiple business units. It's more of a strategic level conversation that you're going to have with them because they really need to look across the entire company. They're not solely focused. They'll get things pushed up from the role. That's just an example of we've seen that supply chain a number of the opportunities that exist. So we're giving them symposiums to the outsourcing side. It's really, as I said earlier, where everything Gartner comes together. Unfortunately, you've got the analysts, you line yourself with the content, and the analysts will speak to vendors. boring it. So, the other question I get asked a lot, and I know I've heard it some of the sites, I work in China, I work in places like me, I work in Brazil IT, but one of the things that we try to impart on all of our vendors, it doesn't matter if you're from the States, or if you're from Brazil, or you need to know who the delegates are. You need to know why they're there. You need to understand that, because I understand that how they want to be sold, not how you want to sell, how they want to be sold. So, again, this is the outsourcing summit. So this is based off of a pre-event survey. If there's one thing Gartner does, it's a lot of measures. We measure everything, sometimes to a fault. So this will give you an idea, if you were at last year's outsourcing summit, what their primary responsibilities were at the event, or what their role is within their company. Then you will also get an understanding of really where that decision-making power is held. Now, as I said before, the summits, that's really a role-based event. They're going to influence the CIO. No CIO is going to be able to implement something if the role-based leaders don't buy into it. If they don't buy into it, the CIO may think he can run it down their throat left. You know how it works. If you haven't implemented something you're not a fan of or you don't believe in, chances are it's not going to get done 100%. Another thing that will tell you about the audience that was at the outsourcing summit last year gives you an idea of where they're looking, where their budgets are going, where their budgets are decreasing, what services they're interested on site, so that you can tailor your message around that. Other examples, really their motivations for attending. Their methods to build the shortlist. Now, Gartner uses the term called shortlist a lot. For those of you that may be a North American term, basically, once you've gotten to that point, you've been to the RFP, it's come down to you and maybe two other companies. And a lot of times, I'll ask my vendors how often you win that battle. So, a lot of times, no one's ever said they lose it more than they don't. But here's their activities. For example, solution showcase with solution providers. The solution showcase is the event for. With respects to, I love the direct marketing one because I get a lot of people that tell me that they direct market. You can't measure it. You can't measure it. And our audience does not want to be direct marketed. The Gartner delegates, they want to be face-to-face, they want to engage. And then look over at the interactions, question over to the right, with respects to what interests you. You notice nothing says being sold to. They don't want to be sold to. They want to build a relationship. They will buy from you. But client testimonials and references, this is the most powerful way to sell to someone. If you bring a client, or if you present a case study, you have the client do it. You're not up there giving them why you're great, why they should buy your product. They're hearing it from their peers, and that's one thing at Gartner we're big on. Peer interaction, peer power of the third party at the events, whether that's from an analyst or whether that's from another company. But these will all, when we look at everything, it paints a picture of who the audience and the delegates are, and really how your messaging should be directed towards them. And this spells it out somewhat as well. The biggest thing that the events do brings everyone face to face. Accessing exposure to senior executives. They rarely take calls. I was sitting in the meeting yesterday. One of our actual vendors is now one of our sponsors. He's the VP of Global Sales, J.R. Sherman, is with a company called Active Networks. he was asked in the meeting, it was a real life sales call that did 38. He said, if we called you, would you take our call? He goes, I'm not taking the phone, I won't even return your message. A lot of times that's what you'll get. You will not have an opportunity to get in front of them, to start building a relationship. And a lot of times that's through summits. And senior level delegates review current technology providers, whether it's onshore or offshore. Funny story, there's a company, I won't name it, 7-Eleven was one of their biggest clients. And they had 7-Eleven on their stands everywhere. Well, one of my colleagues talked to some of the 7-Eleven people there. We're thinking of changing our provider. So here you have the company that's their #1 provider with 7-Eleven all over the place. 3 months from now, 7-Eleven may not even be a client. So, and these are things that we do. So, your audience is also your current clients. This is the buying process for most of the end users with respect to what they do with expense. Sponsor actions, proper way to engage, qualify, educate, follow up. Follow-up's a big deal because the #1 complaint is there's very little follow-up. If people give you their time, and when I say you, I'm talking about all of us, follow-up doesn't matter what the event is. And that's one of the biggest pet peeves they have. Follow up. But if you notice as well, nothing in it doesn't really say you're selling it. No one's being sold to. They're being sold through case studies, research content, engaging with sponsors. And this is how events is positioned to Gartner clients or to delegates or to attendees. Let's see, where's under make efficiency programs. I didn't put Mexico IP in there as anything against Robert.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. It's all for Fernando. So, and then that's our global presence. But I'll share this with you. I am a little jet lagged. I flew in this morning too, so if I'm a little monotone, not as innovative, I didn't sleep.
He has some Mexico IT talking in his back.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know Robert.
Yeah. Well, let me make a few comments. One, Gartner's going to be available tomorrow for one-to-one sessions. Each one talk through what the current situation is, what we're looking to do going forward, so they can help you kind of just do an initial 1.0 version of a roadmap of how to engage with Gartner. Right? So they're going to be available throughout the day. This is meeting room next door, so you can then showcase your own situation. Because we have different levels of maturity here. Companies that are starting, companies that are already on the version 2 steps, 3 steps. We've got MC1 that's already very mature going out there. You need to advance. So they'll be available tomorrow for that. But regardless of being jet lagged, I would like this for the general hearing of everyone at the same time. It'd be beneficial that you could tell us, where does a maturity company that's beginning, a maturity company that's intermediate, and one that's advanced, what was the good or the best advice Gartner would give for a starting point?
For a starting point, I think really what you have to do is
First, beginners.
Beginners. You've got to take that initial step. Reach out to Gartner, whether it's reaching out to research or reaching out to events. Get an understanding of how to navigate yourself through Gartner, because it can be tough. It's a journey, but also keep in mind it's a journey that can last a long time, and really to use Gartner the proper way, it's not a one and done thing. It's got to be an ongoing growth for both the relationship with Gartner and really your strategy around it. So if I look at a company last year, like I mentioned earlier, it's a very small company, but they started about 5 years ago, and it's taken them 5 years to consider doing anything with research, but they gradually increased what they're doing with Gartner because they see the value of really Gartner's your partner. We're a strategic partner, we're a strategic advisor to all of our clients. I mean, whether you're just an event client, or you're an event and a research client, or you're just a research client. So I guess really you need to start somewhere by reaching out to the appropriate Gartner person. I mean, whether it's research, whether it's events, and really you have to have a clear understanding of what you want to out of that relationship. Because we're in it for the long term, we're not in it for the short term.
So, still on beginners, considering this audience, considering that what currently was an institution do with the Brazil IT program, we would say then that the beginners should be really trying to engage into the Brazil IT program, position at Gartner IT Expo, Orlando, because that way you get a first-hand, first feel of what it is to be within the Gartner.
It's fascinating, and I think it's fascinating because a lot of times people think, well, it's risky. I mean, you gain the expertise of Robert, or you gain the expertise of the other folks at Brazil IT who either are from Softex or Apex, who've been engaged with Gartner for years. I mean, Fernando's been 9 years so far with us at Symposium. And I know they're research consultants. And then you've been around for, I've only started working for Abril a lot,
No, please don't.
but yeah, I mean, you use your resources because, I mean, they can also help you navigate Gartner. Because I think sometimes when we work with, I'll just use Brazil IT as an example, but sometimes when the message comes from Brazil IT, because we're all about best practices, we're partners. We want to see the success of the 20 companies that came. There's certain things we can do to offer guidance, and I know that has been offered, but sometimes it's not taken advantage of because your expertise or our expertise, and you really have to understand the audience. Because if you're coming from Brazil and you're going to North America, you won't sell to them when you're selling to a Brazilian. You won't, and they won't engage with you. And that's part of the advice that we give, part of the advice from Robert, part of the advice from Nando, because it's in our best interest to see you succeed.
One thing I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or in that section, which is also a benefit in dealing with Gartner and having Gartner on their specific radar, is what I call the lip on R&D. And the lip is for surfers. The lip of the surf on R&D, being at the top of research and development. And that ties into product development roadmap. So it's not only the benefit of knowing how to sell or how to make companies buy and align to their buying pattern, it's also aligning your own product development roadmap so you get access to current trends and current new technologies that are coming out that are going to impact directly what you're developing. And perhaps you're thinking about taking your solutions that direction, and all of a sudden you go to Gartner and you hear 2 or 3 things into your back. You're just standing at the booth. Wow, I heard something. I could go after that. Because that will affect directly what I'm thinking in developing or directing my product roadmap. So I think that's another added benefit that needs to be very well highlighted, because it's not only the buying side, it's also understanding where do I innovate, where do I take my product development roadmap, in which direction. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, yeah, that's why I didn't say it. I blew it. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was just too anxious, I guess. Anyways, but you'll be able to elaborate more on that. And I want to thank my friend Mathew for coming down on the fly. And he's doing it, hit the ground running. and he's doing a splash and go. He flies out Saturday morning. And he came here specifically for you. Right? He came here specifically for us to understand how to relate better with the Gartner family. A one-to-many today, and tomorrow he'll do a one-to-one with each and one of you. We'll do an agenda as we come up here on a first come, first served basis. We have a meeting room assigned. So you can tell them what is your current situation, current scenario, and then you can tell, listen, based on what you're telling me, this would be a good roadmap for you to develop with Gartner.
Even though we're different business units, we collaborate with research. Research collaborates with us. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. Other times it may be one or the other. But we collaborate quite frequently. And it was much more fun here than it was in China 3 weeks ago with 1,000 people that didn't understand Chinese, or didn't understand English, I should say.
Sure, no, it's open.
Unfortunately, formal member. Is there any kind of best back or assistant that we could be in order to prepare to express the formal member briefing properly, or to check if your method or position that to fix it up before.
Maybe a little bit more so, but I think the basic component that I've got knowing what the research agenda is. Because if you position your the vendor briefing and how separate align to the research agenda, the likelihood of it being picked up is significant.
No, but my point is.
Let me jump in here. We do that. That's our mandate.
Yeah.
Right? We do that. We look at your vendor briefing before you submit to Gartner, and we walk you through what we think is the best winning showcasing of that vendor briefing. According to the guidelines that we learn about what is the best time to submit, how is the topic and theme mapping according to what the research agenda is. So, questions? No more questions for Matt? Matt, you're currently temporarily released. Temporarily. So, okay.